Hi, I'm here in Montreal in Canada. I'm here with Phil and Benoit. They're looking after the game design and the level design on Rainbow Six Vegas 2. Now guys, just want to have a general chat about the game this time. I've heard it described that you're trying to make it a little bit more like CSI, which is set in Vegas, as opposed to, I mean, before it was quite glitzy. It had to feel like a little bit like Ocean's 11, something like that. I mean, what's the kind of feel that you're going for this time?
I think that the story was very dramatic in Vegas, but at the same time, you sort of felt like you were working in parallel with the story. You weren't really actually moving along with it. So I think that when we say more like CSI, it's in the sense that it's not going to be darker, but it's going to be more dramatic. When you see these hostage situations, where you see these situations, these locations, it's going to feel a lot more alive. It's going to make you care. Like Ben could tell you a lot better. Like when you get to these locations, you'll actually see dead bodies. You'll know like that something bad happened in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as opposed to Vegas as well, we don't arrive, let's say, 5 hours late, or we don't impose even on the player, but we make part of the investigation before. So it's really important to also involve him in the story. It's not just we're giving information to the player and blah, blah, blah. We want to make sure that you're a part of a story, and all the gameplay loops, all the gameplay ingredients are there to reinforce what's happening in the game.
And it's obviously going to be, some of it's going to be running parallel to the previous game, but you gave an example earlier on with it's going to be like more industrial environments and also some like strip clubs and things like that. You're trying to like put across more like the seedy side of Vegas as well.
I think it definitely helps with the whole tone and feel of the game. We wanted to go a little bit away from the limelight, a bit away from the neons, and just go for the really darker sides to show sort of a bit of a darker, the darker spots in Vegas, so that you really get to feel the gritty, the darker, the more enveloping area. So it gets a bit darker, it ges a bit more heavy, and we find that it just makes like the emotions a lot stronger when you're playing.
Mm-hmm. We've seen a lot of casinos, but we want to show something really different this time.
Right.
And these new locations are really perfect for, let's say, gameplay purpose. For example, when I went there, explore these area, and you notice how fun these places could be, let's say with paintball guns or whatever. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that this time it's really going to be reflected in the game, in these new areas.
Do you think that's one of the things that was good about the original Vegas, and the way that the whole environment there feels so pristine that when you got in there you could kind of tear it up a little bit? Was that kind of the enjoyment of the first game, do you think?
That was actually a lot of fun because we actually went to Vegas, we went into these hotels, and we said, let's pretend we're wearing muddy combat boots. How would we trash this place? Let's say that we don't care, we're just going for the top. What would we do? And we said, well, we'd grab the booze and we'd drag it over there. We would have broken this because it looks like fun if that actually broke. So that was really cool because the environments were so clean and they were so nice that breaking them apart was such pure fun. But at the same time, it just felt like it was very, very clean all the time. So now that's what we're trying to get for that bit darker from the start. So when you get there, the guys have already been there and it looks bad from the start. So that's why we went for those big gritty places like the strip club, especially places like that, very dark and a bit more dramatic.
Sure. Adding lives, basically. Adding lives to the environment, just to, let's say, how we call that, the show don't tell. We want to make sure that the place is alive, that something really happened, and it's not like always clean. So within the game also, you take part in those moments that we create. So we put the player inside these small moments, which make the thing really interesting.
You can understand what happens in the game. So for example, if you were told, and this is just an example, but if they said you're going to this club and the owner has been shot, well, when you go on that map, you might see a trail of blood, and then when you go around, say, the counter, you'll see where there's maybe a bigger puddle of blood and broken bottles and maybe depleted bullet casings, and you go like, wow, somebody got shot here. And then you understand what we were talking about. The whole story and the levels support that because we all work together so hard to make sure that everything feels a lot more alive. You'll also get to actually meet people that speak in the story, NPCs, from NSA agents to other people of the Rainbow team. They're actually present in the game this time. So it's never everybody is gone when you get there. You're not going to be alone all the time anymore.
You mentioned before there's more destructible elements in the game as well. Like one of the things I always wanted to do in the first Vegas was shoot the big pool of fish out and see that happening. Is that going to happen in the second game?
Well, blowing stuff up is always one of our big priorities. Sometimes it gets tricky when it's a really big object. What we wanted to do is make sure that when you actually see something that looks like it should blow up, that it works like the way it's supposed to. We even have a bunch of interactive elements that we added in the levels to make it more fun.
There are some places that we call also destructible cover. In Vegas, when we take cover, you feel always safe. But this time, when you take a cover, it doesn't look that safe. You might take it, sometimes it's going to blow off in part, so sometimes you're going to be obligated to change cover and move to place, so we feel that it's way more dynamic and you communicate more with the environment. And same thing for terrace. You see he's going between this plywood sheet, so you shoot him through it. The plywood sheet breaks and he's killed on the other side.
Right,
So.
and it works really well with bullet penetration, because now that we do have bullet penetration, when you see somewhere where you think that the bullet should go through, well, they most likely do go through, so you have to be careful. It's good for you, and it also, like, it can be bad for the bad guys, because if they choose bad cover and you have a shotgun and you're standing 5 foot from them, you just shoot through it. That's really very satisfying. One of the really cool moments that I had playing in the game recently is because it's all starting to come in together. Saw a bad guy that was crouching behind a couch, and he hadn't seen me yet. I just put my 12 gauge really close to that couch, blew straight through the couch, feathers everywhere. Bad guy went flying back, and I was like, wow, that is cool.
Excellent. Well, I mean, tell us, I mean, you obviously wanted to do a lot more stuff in Vegas too, you weren't able to do in the first game, but just come clean, was this a big excuse for you to just go back to Vegas and chill out there for a bit to do some research?
Well, doing research for a game is always very, very hard, especially when it's in Vegas. It's hard to keep your mind on work all the time, which we did. But seriously, it was actually, we had stuff we wanted to do more, especially in Vegas. We weren't done. The ending, we knew that we were leaving everybody with a cliffhanger. So technology, features, story, everything just had to be continued on in a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. Because continuing, we had to complete the story. Make sure that we provide a satisfying ending to the player, and we, let's say, close the Vegas aspect, because I think we explored the best part of it. And yeah, the biggest challenge, not challenge, but the best part was to make it satisfying. And I think it's going to really be satisfying this time.
Okay, all right, guys, thanks a lot. We'll let you crack on with the game. It's due out in March 2008, right?
Right on.
Excellent, thanks, guys.
All right, thank you.